Hi everybody, I'm Natalie with Missouri Star Quilt Company, and today I have a really fun project for you. I've called this quilt Math Class because it has a bunch of pluses and minuses, and I just think it's really fun. It's super simple to make, and I think you're going to love it. So to make this quilt, you're going to need a package of 2.5-inch print strips, and I have used Denim and Daisies by Figtree and Company for Moda Fabrics. You're going to need 4 3/4 yards of background fabric, and that includes your sashing and your border. And then your backing, you're going to need 7 3/4 yards with a vertical seam, or 2.5 yards of a 108. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is cut your background fabric. We're going to need some 2.5-inch strips and some 1.5-inch strips, so just cut a few of those. Go ahead and do my 2.5 and then my 1.5. The 1.5-inch strips, some of them are going to get subcut to 6.5 because that is the size of our block. So I will cut a couple of those just to be prepared. Trim my selvage. And we're at 6.5. And then several of those 1.5-inch strips you're going to leave full length and stitch together to do the rest of your sashing and your outer border. So we'll set those aside for now. All right, so you're going to take a strip from your roll, and we are going to cut this into 6.5-inch lengths. And you can leave it folded. Let me show you how I did it. So I left it folded at first, and I lined it up on my mat because I'm using the mat and the ruler to measure here. Whoops, bumping into stuff today. All right, cut off my selvages, and then I'm going to cut 2 strips at 6.5. So this is 5, 6.5. And then I'm going to set those aside, and I'm going to open this up because I only need 1 more. So you need 3 from your strip, 3 6.5-inch strips. So I cut through both for the first 2, and then I open it up and just cut 1 more off of this. All right, so we're going to set these 3 aside, and then what we're going to do is cut this strip in half, our background strip, and we're going to pair it with the rest of our print strip. And I just usually cut that fold right off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sew a background strip on either side, or both sides of our print strip. So let me go ahead and do that. And it's okay that they're not the same length. It's not a big deal. We don't use that part. Open that up and stitch the other one on, and then we'll press it. Okay, now I like to press these so that the background fabric goes in to the the print fabric, it kind of gives it a little bit more texture. Like I like the way that the fabric sort of stands out from the background fabric. And that hides your seam underneath the print fabric as well. All right, so now what we're going to do is cut 6 2.5-inch segments off of this strip set. So we line it up with our mat. If our edge is really clean, we can leave it. I'm going to go ahead and trim it just because. It's just a little bit off, not super straight, but okay. So we're going to cut 6 2.5-inch strips off of this. We're subcutting it. And this last section, we're going to trim to 6.5, and this is our minus block. So we've already got one block made. And you just really efficiently use up all of that fabric. This is your waste. It's very, very efficient, I think. I love it. All right, now if yours is a little wonky like mine is, I'm going to just check it. I'm just going to square it up a tiny bit. There we go. We're good to go. So this is ready. One more tiny little trim there. There we go. All right, so this is our minus block and it's already done. Now we get to make our little plus blocks and they go together just as easy as pie. So we're going to take our three 6.5-inch strips that we cut earlier. And we're going to put one of these strip sets on top and bottom of each one of those. Just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and sew these. You just want to make sure you use a consistent 1/4-inch seam and all of your pieces will fit. Again, I'm going to try and press to the dark side here so that I keep my seams hidden underneath my print fabrics. Nice and flat. All right, so that's it. You've got your blocks. These other two go together just the same way as this one. And I just went ahead and set mine together so that I kept my prints that were from the same strip set together. You could mix them up, do scrappy, you know, put your pluses and minuses wherever you like. It's just a layout option, something that you might like. I thought it looked really cool. So then what I did is I started the first row with blocks and I did plus, 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 and minus, and then just carried that through So you'll see that as I continued here, I have plus, 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 and then the minus block from that set starts my next row. So see how they just continue, and then as I went down, they sort of stair step down, and then this one has the plus and the minus. So that's how that layout goes. Each row has 1.5 by 6.5 inch sashing in between. And so the first row starts with a block and ends with a sashing strip, and the next row starts with a sashing strip and ends with a block. And that's what gives it that movement where they're not right on top of each other. So you're not worried about matching up your plus blocks, anything like that. So that's it. There's 11 across by 12 down. It has a tiny little 1.5 inch outer border just to separate it from the binding. If you wanted to make it bigger, you could add a border. The quilt measures 79 by 85. And the machine quilting pattern that I used is Time Warp. I just thought it gave it great movement, lots of texture. I think it's really lovely. And the backing is absolutely gorgeous. It's this print from the line that I just love. I think it's so pretty. And I did the binding with this cute little, this print right here is what I used on the binding, and I just think it's beautiful. It frames up the quilt nicely and looks great. Yeah. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the math class quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Thank you so much for joining me for this video today. I hope that you enjoyed it and that it inspired your creativity. And guys, we're at almost 1 million quilters strong in our community. So if you know of anybody that you think might like to join us and learn quilting with us, bring them on in, put your arm around them, and tell them to subscribe to our channel so that we can all learn and grow together.